what you're fundamentally doing is trying to optimize the environment to stack the probability of success in. The best way I can describe the role of a performance coach is that I do everything. So my client, my athlete, my driver only has to think about what they're doing. So for example, working in Formula 1 with Max Verstappen, I would look after his training, his physio, his nutrition, his hydration. I'd drive him to the track. I would wash his kit. I'd do absolutely everything so that he could just come in, focus on the task at hand, and go racing. Control his controllables while I look after the rest. And that involves obviously knowing your client, knowing your athlete very, very well, building that trust with them. I've always talked in the past about the reason I got the job is probably not because there's plenty of other people that are physios and performance coaches, but it's all about getting on with that client. I often talk about something called interaction over intervention, where that communication style, those communication skills are so important. And I guess it's a bit like a CEO or business leader coming into a company and trying to manage their people and find out what makes them tick and try and get the best out of the client. And in managing everything for that athlete, what you're fundamentally doing is trying to optimize the environment to stack the probability of success in their favor. And yeah, that's what I would say a performance coach, or certainly a performance coach, does for me. Most of my high-performing clients come from a sporting background. I've been fortunate enough to work with Olympic gold medalists, F1 world champions, Ironman world champions, professional boxers, cyclists, winners of the Giro Italia, but also some high-pressure CEOs that have to travel a lot for work and so on and so forth. And I always take kind of three core principles out of that, and a lot of that revolves around, number one, pursuing those kind of 1% gains, those marginal gains. Number two, executing at a world-class level, an elite level, and then being able to stay at that top and perform under pressure, so that kind of resilience under pressure. But I think what you can then kind of learn from those things is essentially like the breakdown of each individual one is where the kind of the magic happens, as it were. So, for example, an elite level athlete, is constantly training for that pressure before it happens. Client of mine, Max Whitlock, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, Britain's greatest ever gymnast, has done his routine on the pommel horse 1,000 times before he walks out on the Olympic stage. And you can see it as well. The best CEOs will prepare for crisis moments or prepare worst case scenario or run worst case scenario drills so that they are ready for when it happens. So it's training for the pressure before it happens, and then being able to apply frameworks when the pressure does come. So breathing techniques to regulate stress, reframing that pressure as a privilege. And Michael Jordan was always the best at that, when he would see game-winning shots as opportunities and not threats. And we had the same in Abu Dhabi 21. Level on points going into the last race as an opportunity to win the championship. And then being able to apply mental performance techniques such as visualization or breaking things down into micro tasks, developing an alter ego for high stakes moments, all come in to the ability to be able to cope with those high pressure moments and perform at the best. So lots you can break down into that, but I think focusing on the kind of key points and then breaking those down initially is the best way to look at that. Calculated battle of will, I'd probably say, because it is. There'll be moments when you wonder how these high-performing athletes are performing at the level that they're performing at, and you hear a lot about flow state and people being in the zone, and that it is a real thing, but it's built up by building that mental and emotional resilience over time. And again, F1's a very good example of that, because what you have is you have drivers that need to reach a certain level of physical fitness, but they don't need to be super athletes. So most drivers will be of a relatively similar physical fitness, because once they reach their cardiovascular fitness, once they reach their next strength, by going above and beyond it doesn't add lap time. If you're below it, it can take away lap time, but you don't get faster by being more physically fit. The way you go out and win races is by one, having a fast car, but if you're relatively similar, it's winning that mental and emotional battle against your competitor, and that's where your kind of visualization techniques come in, your ability to control your breathing and use breathing to reduce stress when under pressure, breaking tasks down into small micro tasks. We were winning the US Grand Prix in 21 in Austin, being chased down very, very closely by Lewis Hamilton, and every point counted in a year where it was a very closely fought contest. And Max will talk about now in interviews how he could feel his heart rate rising, and he used a technique called box breathing to bring that down. So I say a calculated battle of will, because mental toughness and mental resilience that he's built up over the years put him in that situation. But he was also very calculated in that, okay, we're in a situation where we can win this race. My heart rate's going up. This is adrenaline's coming in, but he was able to then apply those mental performance techniques to bring that all back down, level himself out, and go on and win the race.